in the person of Mrs. Tena Makuku. Mrs. Tena Makuku Tendaya Makaya is the founder of Chariots, Handmaids, and People at Heart Foundation. Madam, I can see you are smiling. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce the name well.
It's all right.
It's an amazing name. It's an amazing name. She's also an African themed jewelry designer based in Beijing, China. Her unique African design showcase the beauty that she has for African culture. She's also the director of Chariots Maguta Milling Company based in Zimbabwe. She is a motivational speaker and an author of the books Boldly Take the Step and Staying Connected. These are two books which are authored by our speaker. Through her organization, Tena seeks to create equal opportunities for women and children through empowerment programs. These programs help marginalized women and children reach their full potential. Their goal is to help in community building so that communities can sustain themselves. In this evening seminar, Mrs. Tena Makuku will be speaking to us on starting an initiative, solving the problems with our skills, or volunteering. Mrs. Tena, I welcome you to your audience. We are ready for you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. First, I would like to say thank you for being here and everyone who is here, and thank you to Love Umbrella Network for inviting me to be here, and also a special thank you to Mr. and Mrs. V. We are here because of you and because of your love. So first, I just want to say I love what you do. I love what love works to do, because when there is love, people can work together. Love is like an oil that makes things go. Love helps people forgive. Love helps people work together. So I love that is your baseline, and it also goes with our vision as well, just to share love to each and everyone and bring communities together. So today I'm going to be speaking on how to start an initiative solving problems with your skill of volunteering. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share our organization as a case study, because this is exactly what we do. We use our skill to empower and equip people. Like you have heard, I am a jewelry designer and I have a team behind me. And through this jewelry designing, through this skill, the profit proceeds go towards empowering and helping our community and all other people that we work with. So this is why I am going to share what we do as a case study as we move on. So can I please have the first slide? Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, could you please share the first slide?
Sure.
So while we wait for the slide to come on, I represent 3 organizations. So there is Chariots Handmaids, which is the business, which is the jewelry making organization, which equips our foundation, which is People at Heart Foundation. And through these 2 organizations, we've managed to build a bigger sustainable business, which is a milling plant, Maguta milling plant. So yeah, so I kind of represent these 3 organizations, and through these organizations, we have been able to help different communities. Yeah.
Please, wow. Can you see the slide now?
I cannot see it for some reason. I'm not sure why. Can everybody else see the slide?
I can see from my end.
Okay, that's fine. If you can see from your end.
I can see the slide.
Okay, so let me.
Okay, please, can you double tap on LUN Media, the participant with LUN Media, to see the slide?
As you know, charity begins at home. So our first call was our own community where I am from, which is a very small. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, please, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I had seen a message that says no voice. Okay, fine. And so one thing that we wanted to do was to help the communities be self-sustainable so that we completely eliminate poverty. Because one of the things that we realized as we were working through was the donor syndrome, that everybody was expecting to be given by an NGO. So we said, no, what we want to do is for you to be able to fend for yourself. We are going to work with you through the different stages for you to be able to fend for yourself. So our goal is to just assist the members of the community to do that. And our starting point is working with women and children, because we found out that women and children are a forgotten resource, especially in our culture. They're very resourceful in terms of maybe crafts or being strategic. So we realized that they are a very powerful forgotten resource in the community. And so that was our starting point, because most of the women in my community were not very educated. They were most of them are not formally educated. So one thing that we wanted to show them was, you have skill, because they are good with knitting, they are good with sewing, they are good with making clay pots. So we wanted to them to understand that there is something that you can bring out of whatever that you do. So that is why our starting point was working with women and children. Next slide, please. So like I said before, our initiative was just starting a jewelry organization, just to show these women that through your skill, you can be self-sustainable and help someone else. So our programs include women in business. What we do with women in business is they bring up their business idea. We work with them to build up their business. So we give them the necessary education, the necessary funding, the necessary people that can actually work with them to start their own businesses. Because again, in this area, one thing that we're realizing was that there is not enough training for the women in terms of business accounting, in terms of business management in itself, though they were running their own smaller businesses. So that became one of our first projects. And we also have our educational programs, women in education and children. So some women didn't want to start businesses, but they wanted to continue with education. So we do have that program in place as well. And we have a program for children as well. So for children, we work with children from social welfare, and we also work with children from around the community. We actually build an early childhood center that helps children get that basic education, and then they go from our early childhood center into a different school that we work with until tertiary education. And then we have women workshops. In women workshop, we do like business programs that we have. We have speakers coming to speak with those women in women conferences as well. And we have different visits in the community. We have old people's home visits, orphanage visits, prison visits, just to get a feel of what the community is like and how the community wants to be involved and be helped. Then at the end of the year, we have Christmas boxes as well. And we do have food packages. So food packages depend on what's going on at that time. Like in the start of like 2020, when the pandemic hit, we gave food packages to 20 families for, I think, from the month of May to the month of November. So, and as we are doing this, we began to realize how people were coming together, and that there was so much love that was being shared through this activity. And then it actually kept us going and wanting us to do more. Next slide, please. So these are some of our success stories. So we have women in education. So we have this woman is just one of them who decided that she wanted to continue with school, and she did graduate actually with a degree in psychology, and she's running one of the biggest organizations in Zimbabwe at the moment about men's rights, and she's now all over on television, on radio, speaking about men's rights and how she is doing her part in helping the society. So that's one thing that we realized, that by sharing love, it kind of has a ripple effect. We might not get anything in return as an organization, but seeing the people that you've worked with help other people in the community is all that we want. And we have women workshops and women conferences every year. Before COVID, we had this conference. We are hoping that after this COVID era, we pick up back. We have 50 women that we take out from the city into a resort area, where we discuss, we talk business, we talk about the problems that they're going through, we share love, and at the end of it all, we give them the required packages. If they want to go into education, they take that. If they want to do projects like farming, they get into that. If they want to start businesses, they get into that. So we'll be working with them into doing everything that will be able to like empower them. Next slide, please. So like I said, I mentioned the Early Childhood Center before. So these are our kids that are in our program. So we built this Early Childhood Center from scratch because we realized that in my community, I'm not sure of other communities in Africa, but in my community, kindergarten or early childhood education was not a priority, and yet somehow it is a fundamental thing that children should do at a very early age. So what we do is we have, our school has a capacity of 30 to 40 students, but what we do is every year we enroll 6 students that in our education program, and they go through from early childhood to primary education, secondary education, and then tertiary education. Why we take 6 children every year is because we didn't want to take them until they're done with kindergarten and then be like, okay, bye, your time is done. So that's why we enroll 6 every year. So that means the center has been running for 4 years now. That means in every level for those 4 years, we have children that are coming from our center and that are going into different stages of education. And we have children from the social welfare as well. We work with our local social welfare in my community as well. There are other children that go through different issues, different cases. So the social welfare comes to us and gives us some of these children, and we help them with education, fees. We help them with stationery. Sometimes we also help them with their upbringing, because just paying fees and uniforms is not enough for the situation that they will be in. And sometimes we also work with them because they need psychological help as well. So one of the very disturbing cases that we have is a case of a child who was sexually abused by her mother's brother. And grandmother, so she told someone, and this uncle was in trouble, and grandmother was angry with this child, and grandmother chased this child away from home. And this child was then now found wandering in the woods for so many days. So someone just picked them up and took them to the social welfare. So when they go to the social welfare, that's when they spoke to the social welfare and they explained their story. And we took over from there. Another case is of one of the children that we're supporting. I think she's 5 years now. When she was 4 years, uncle just dropped him off in the street, and he was just wandering around, and someone found him and they took him to the social welfare, and the social welfare called us. So some of those children need just more than tuition fees. They need love itself, because they've been put in a position where they don't understand, because they're very young, what's going on. So that is one of the things that we do with our education program. And then the milling plant is our sustainable project, because one thing that we didn't want was to continuously rely on donations, on chariots. We wanted something for the community. So this plant was actually installed in the community, in the first community that we are working with right now. So we are hoping that everything will be in order and we will start packaging maize meal. I don't know what other people call it in their country, but maize meal is grinded corn meal. It's our staple in my country. And we will employ, we actually are employing, because they've already come for the interviews, we're actually employing widows and orphans, children that are above the legal age of employment. And we are hoping that this sustainable project will change the status quo of the small city where I come from, because it's a plant that grinds 9 tons, 24 hours a day. So we are hoping that we will continuously grow bigger and fund and expand into more projects that we're working on. We are working on opening a training school for women, a skills training school for women in the same community. Next slide, please. those are just the food packages, and these are the women. These are women projects. In the women projects, like I said, we managed to get some greenhouses that were shipped from here in China. And one of the projects that we do to sustain women is through farming. Some choose farming because that's what they want. So we have these different programs that are aligned within our organization. Next slide, please. And 95% of our finances come from the jewelry sales and workshops, and 5% comes from our chariot ambassadors. So this jewelry sales, most of our jewelry is handmade. It's beautiful. Its origin is Africa. It's the theme, though we don't necessarily get most of the of our most of our raw materials from Africa, but the theme is Africa. We try as much as we can to portray Africa in a bigger spotlight, just to change the status quo of how people feel about Africa. Because as I go to different pop-up markets to sell this jewelry, oh my goodness, the stories that I hear about Africa. So then that way you get an opportunity to share with one person that, you know what, Africa is not like this. Africa is like this. Here is the other side that you haven't heard. And then 5% comes from our chariot ambassadors. So chariot ambassadors are people that are well invested in chariots, in what we do. They help with strategies. They help with different programs. They help with jewelry workshops. They help with finances as well. Next slide. So the greatest lesson that we have learned through all this is it's really possible to start an initiative and solve problems with your skills. People at Heart Foundation has taught us this, and over the years we've realized that it is doable. So my challenge to you today is, what is your skill? What is it that you can do best? And how can you be able to help the next person? We started from scratch, and you can start from scratch as well. You just have to put in your vision, and as you put in your vision, you can tie it together with your skill and how you would want it done. Next slide, please. So here's a little bit. There's so much that you can do when starting an initiative. So everybody has already spoken about identifying the need. It's very important to identify the need first, but also engage with the people in the community. One of the things that we have realized along this journey is sometimes we have what we think is the need, but as you go and work with the community, you realize that it's a totally different thing on the ground altogether. So then you have to identify the root cause of the first need. So let's say the first, let's say the need is for you to create or to help people with finding employment, but what's the root cause of unemployment? So sometimes as you are starting your initiative, you really need to engage with the local community and identify what causes that, so that you tackle whatever that it is from the root, so that you're working from the ground up. Because sometimes if you build your foundation from the top, it's then hard to kind of create a baseline or a foundation for it. So then everything becomes stressful, and it kind of crumbles down. We have crumbled down a lot of times because we have started from the top. So we have actually learned our lessons through what we've been doing. So as you have all these facts in place, then derive your vision. So you have your need, you have the community, then you can work on that vision that you have. You can begin to tailor make it to fit the need of the community. Next slide, please. So yeah, like how I was saying, is just define your skill and how it can impact. In the case of Chariots, our skill was jewelry making. How did it bring about impact? By selling this product to the world, we then get the resources to then impact people, based on the need. And you need to look for like-minded people to work with. Sometimes it's really hard to work with people that have no idea where you're going. It's strange. So sometimes in love, it's okay to say, you know what, this season is not working for you and me in regards with this vision. It's completely okay to find people that you can work with. This is one of the things that has helped Chariots grow, is to work with people that understand where you're going, understand the need in the community, and also have the heart of love to share. And it's also important to write your plan on how you can execute using your skill efficiently. You have to keep in mind the people that you're working with, the process, and the place, because sometimes some processes don't work in certain places. We spoke about maybe in a village, there is not too much, there is no electricity. So it's kind of difficult for you to come in with a process that requires a lot of electricity. So you also have to kind of work with people, place, and the process, and your vision should then become your guideline. And one important thing that I learned also is that even if your vision is bigger, we haven't started as Chariots. We haven't started because our vision is bigger than this. We plan to get into each and every African country, each and every community, just mobilizing people to fall in love and to become self-sustainable. But if we look at it, it's too big. So we had to kind of break it down and start with one community, step by step. Step by step. It's very important to take it step by step, and also create a system that works for you and for your team, as well as the people that you're working with, because then you become a huge team. Your team becomes broad. It's not just you anymore. You had the idea, so it's good to let go of the idea, and also then take action. when all this is done, you can have it on paper, but if you don't take action, it's just there. Nothing will happen. So the final thing is just to take action. So this can work in whether you want to become a volunteer or whether you want to actually start an initiative in your community. I believe it works both ways. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much. For listening. So yeah, the thing is, assess, always take time to observe. It's important, and evaluate if your skill is kind of bringing the result, because sometimes you can work and work and work and work and there is no result that is coming. It's okay. You just have to go back to the drawing board and see where you're going wrong and regroup and continuously engage with your community. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. And if you want to get in touch with me, here is my email. And I think on the first slide is our website. If you want to read more about what we do, they are on the first slide. You can kind of look at our website and have an idea of what we do fully. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening.
That was incredible. That was incredible. I'm really impressed. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so I have a question here for you. For what challenges did each of the organizations you are affiliated to? Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Sorry for that. Okay, so my question is, what challenges did each of the organizations that you are affiliated to are they facing now? What challenges are they facing now, and how are you overcoming each of the challenges?
Okay, so the first challenge that we had with Chariots in the beginning was for people to believe in handcrafts. We still have people right now that will say it doesn't work. Like handcrafts cannot be a business in my part of the world. Like handcrafts cannot be a business. It doesn't work. And when we were starting, I remember we got so many names, but we are here today. So that was a big stumbling block for us. And yeah, and also at the other problem that we get is kind of balancing the two worlds in terms of we are in China, which is an international community. It's different when you move back into our own community in terms of pricing, in terms of what's required. So that also has been a biggest hurdle for us. And with People at Heart Foundation, which is the hardcore of sharing love, our biggest challenge is to help people become self-sustainable, because most of the times people are just like, well, I am entitled. You are an NGO, you're a non-profit, so I am entitled to get whatever that you want to give. So then we always have this conversation that, you know what, you first 3 months, we will supply. After 3 months, we want to see your business plan. We want to see your project, and we're going to monitor it for the next 6 months, and you're going to come and report back to us. So it's usually a big fight. But as we are working with people, and as they are joining our organization, because when we work with someone, they become part of the organization if they want, so that they'll be able to share their experience and empower someone else. And for the education part, we've spoken about the social welfare. So some of the children are not in our reach. Like we had 3 girls that were in different locations in the rural areas. So we don't have a say or power or whatever that we can call it over them. So if mom decides that they don't go to school, they don't go to school, despite the fact that you have paid for school fees. If their guardian decides that she's a girl child, she's not, the boy child can go to school, even if you're paying the fee. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing. And for Chariots, for Maguta, which is the business side, is we've been learning so much, and the community is like, well, they are seeing the size of the machine and they're like, oh, you have too many resources. Again, we go back to give us. But yeah, we always take time to sit down with people and share our vision with them and what we are for and what we are doing, and ask them to join and share their ideas, because we realize that the people on the other side that are not in the organized have so many brilliant ideas. So yeah, those are the challenges that we're facing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so the next question is, how do you mobilize people or get the like-minded people to support the vision, to look into what you are into? How do you get people to become a part of the organization?
So I think when we were talking about, when I first got in, somebody spoke about your character, your determination, your motivation towards your goal. So you have, because people see for them to believe. So they have to see what you're doing first. So for the first year, we had very few people that were interested in what we're doing. Why? Because there was nothing really tangible. But as we continuously spoke to people and invited them to come and see, transparency is also important. You have to be transparent. As we're sharing with them what we're doing, we then got a lot of people to come in and join. But I won't lie to you, in the beginning, it's really hard to find people. You might even be friends, but your visions are different. They see something else, you see something else. It's totally okay for that to happen. But because you have that vision, you have to be determined to make it work and to keep working. So people would then come because of the work that you're doing, the consistency, the transparency. Then people begin to join in. Yeah.
That was profound. Thank you so much, Mrs.
You're
Tina.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Let's show some love to Mrs. Tina in the chat box. Thank you so much for that impressive.
Thank you for having us.